2 years ago, Real Madrid were on top of Europe again. Champions League winners for the 15th time after beating Borussia Dortmund 2-0 in the final. And only 2 weeks later, Kylian Mbappé finally arrived in Madrid after years of rumours and waiting. At that moment, most fans genuinely believed football was finished. Mbappé, Vinícius Jr, Jude Bellingham, the new Galacticos. A team that was supposed to dominate Europe for the next decade. Instead, within 2 seasons, Madrid were getting humiliated 4-0 and 5-2 by Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. While reports of dressing room chaos started leaking everywhere, and somehow things got even worse when their captain reportedly ended up in the hospital after a training ground clash with his own teammate. So how does a club this big collapse so fast? And why are people suddenly talking about Jose Mourinho as the man who could save all of this? To understand it, we have to go back to the beginning of that perfect summer in 2024. Because even after winning the Champions League, Madrid were already losing something important. Toni Kroos retired, and Carlo Ancelotti slowly started reducing the role of Luka Modric, the 2 midfielders who had controlled Madrid games for almost an entire decade. But at first, nobody thought that would become a serious problem. After all, Madrid still had Tchouaméni, Valverde, Camavinga and Arda Güler ready to take over. In the Super Cup final, Valverde scored first. Then Mbappé scored his first goal for Real Madrid. Another trophy, even bigger expectations. And honestly, the beginning wasn't even bad.
Back to Valverde. Magnificent! They've soaked up pressure and what a finish from the Uruguayan! It's Mbappe coming on and scoring!
By October 2nd, Madrid had 5 wins and 3 draws in La Liga. They had already beaten Stuttgart in the Champions League. On paper, everything still looked fine. But the feeling around the team had already started changing. Because the moment Kroos retired, Madrid lost the player who controlled the rhythm of almost every important match they played for nearly a decade. Now the team looked different, faster, more aggressive, more direct. And honestly, that helped Mbappé individually. Before the new year, he already had 12 goals and 3 assists across La Liga and the Champions League, slowly becoming Madrid's best player. But while Mbappé improved, Madrid themselves became harder to control. The 36-game unbeaten streak finally ended. Then came 2 consecutive defeats in the Champions League. At the same time, injuries started piling up across the squad. And only 24 days after losing their unbeaten run, Barcelona humiliated them 4-0 at the Bernabeu, one of the worst Clásico defeats the club had suffered in years. That was the moment fans started noticing the real problem, because tactically Madrid suddenly looked confused. At first the solution seemed simple: move Mbappé centrally, allow Bellingham to stop playing as a false 9. And initially, it actually worked. Mbappé kept scoring, Madrid still looked dangerous, but the exact same issue kept returning every single match. Mbappé constantly drifted left. Vinicius attacked the same spaces, the attack became crowded, and defensively the pressing slowly started collapsing. Madrid stopped pressing as one unit. One player pressed, another stayed behind. The midfield became exposed constantly. Suddenly the team looked disconnected without the ball. And compared to previous seasons, there was another massive difference. With Kroos and Modric, Madrid used to dominate games through possession and control. Now, they looked like a team built almost entirely for transitions and counter-attacks. Ironically, the only player who still looked comfortable in slower possession phases was Arda Güler. But Ancelotti almost never trusted him consistently. Then it happened again. Another humiliation against Barcelona, 5-2. Mbappé scored. Didn't matter, because by that point the tactical problems were becoming impossible to ignore. Then came April 2025. Real Madrid were eliminated from the Champions League by Arsenal across both legs. At the same time, Barcelona won La Liga, the Copa del Rey and the Super Cup, and that's when the pressure inside the club exploded, because one trophyless season at Real Madrid already feels unacceptable. 2 in a row? That becomes a crisis. Soon after, Carlo Ancelotti left the club, and immediately all eyes turned toward Xabi Alonso. Fresh off winning the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, Alonso arrived as the coach who was supposed to rebuild Madrid's identity. At least, that's what everyone believed. But his first major warning sign came almost immediately. Against PSG in the Club World Cup, Madrid looked completely lost and conceded 4 goals. Still, despite that humiliation, they actually started the following season brilliantly, 7 wins in a row. For a moment it looked like Madrid had stabilized again. Then came another collapse, another 5-2 humiliation in the Madrid derby. But somehow, the tactical problems were no longer the biggest story. Now the chaos was becoming personal. On November 26th, Madrid faced Barcelona again at the Santiago Bernabeu while leading La Liga by 2 points. Surprisingly, Madrid actually won this time. The lead increased to 5 points, and suddenly they looked like favourites for the title again. Then Vinicius was substituted. According to reports, he became furious while Madrid was still winning and started shouting that he wanted to leave the club. Nobody fully understood why, but from that moment onward, reports claimed the atmosphere inside the dressing room completely changed. Then came January 2026. After another heavy defeat against Barcelona in the Super Cup, Xabi Alonso surprisingly left the club, and the chaos after the match somehow became even worse than the defeat itself. According to reports, Mbappe called players back into the dressing room because he didn't want Madrid forming a guard of honor for Barcelona, despite Alonso wanting the team to remain on the pitch. Florentino Perez didn't bring in a major replacement either. Instead, Álvaro Arbeloa was promoted from the reserve team. And somehow, the team became even worse. Carvajal reportedly injured a youth player during training with a reckless challenge. At the same time, reports claimed Madrid's medical staff spent nearly 20 days failing to properly identify a knee problem affecting one of the players. Then came April 2026. Madrid faced Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarter-finals. And once again, they collapsed, eliminated again. Arbeloa publicly took responsibility. But internally, the situation reportedly kept getting worse. By late April and early May, the club was in complete chaos. Mbappe claimed to be injured. Then photos suddenly appeared online showing him on vacation with a famous actress. Reports also started circulating that Rudiger had problems with Carreras during training and later showed disrespect toward members of the coaching staff. But there was one incident the entire football world started talking about. Federico Valverde and Tchouaméni reportedly began provoking each other repeatedly during training sessions. The tension kept growing. Hard tackles started flying unnecessarily. Arguments continued inside the dressing room, and according to reports, Tchouaméni eventually struck Valverde during one confrontation, causing Valverde to hit his head on a table and end up in the hospital with a head injury. Then after another defeat against Barcelona, Mbappe reportedly posted the result on his Instagram story, while an online petition demanding he leave the club exploded across social media. At that point, reports claimed players inside the squad had almost completely stopped talking to each other. And now, the man suddenly being linked with fixing all of this is Jose Mourinho. Do you think he can actually fix the situation at Real Madrid? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I'm honestly not sure.